Imagine standing outside on a clear night, gazing at the moon's soft glow. It has been a symbol of mystery, inspiration, and even fear for centuries. But as you look closer, you realize something peculiar. No matter where you are on Earth, the moon always shows the same face. The other side, forever hidden from our view, has earned an ominous name, the dark side of the moon. But what makes it so mysterious? And more importantly, why does it seem like NASA and other space agencies don't want us to know the truth? The idea that the moon's far side holds secrets is not new. For decades, astronomers, conspiracy theorists, and even former NASA employees have hinted at something beyond ordinary scientific explanation. Strange signals, unexplained structures, and whispers of secret space missions have fueled speculation that what we've been told is only a fraction of the real story. Could it be that NASA has discovered something they don't want the public to know? And if so, why? To understand the mystery, we must go back to 1959, when the Soviet Luna 3 probe made history by capturing the first images of the moon's far side. The results stunned the world. Unlike the side we see from Earth, smooth, familiar, and dotted. With dark volcanic plains, the far side was completely different. It was heavily cratered, rugged, and oddly alien. Scientists theorized that this was due to the Earth's gravitational influence shielding the near side from cosmic impacts. But not everyone was convinced. Why was the far side so drastically different? And why did some images seem to show strange, unnatural formations? Then, in 1968, something truly unsettling happened. During the Apollo 8 mission, the first manned spacecraft to orbit the moon, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and William Anders ventured into the darkness behind the lunar surface. As expected, all communication with Earth was lost as they passed behind the moon. But what they reported upon re-establishing contact was far from expected. The crew described hearing a strange, music-like sound in their headsets, an eerie, whistling noise that seemed to defy explanation. NASA later dismissed it as radio interference between the spacecraft and Earth, but declassified transcripts from the mission suggest the astronauts were genuinely disturbed. One exchange between Lovell and Borman reveals their confusion. You hear that whistling sound? Yeah, it's kind of eerie, isn't it? For decades, skeptics and believers alike have debated whether this was truly interference, or if Apollo 8 had picked up something else. Could it have been an artificial signal? If so, who or what was transmitting it? Apollo 11. The moon landing's untold story. When Apollo 11 landed on the moon in 1969, the world held its breath. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made history, taking humanity's first steps on another celestial body. The world saw them plant the American flag, collect rock samples, and bounce across the low-gravity surface. But according to leaked accounts, something else happened that day, something that was never broadcast to the public. A supposed transmission intercepted by amateur radio operators listening in on NASA's frequencies describes a chilling conversation between Armstrong and Mission Control. The claim? That Armstrong saw something off camera, something impossible to explain. These babies are huge, sir, enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. According to this alleged exchange, Armstrong and Aldrin saw large, towering structures in the distance, structures that didn't appear natural. Some believe NASA cut the live feed for several minutes to prevent public panic, while others argue that this entire account is fabricated. But what if it's true? If Armstrong and Aldrin really saw something that wasn't supposed to be there, NASA would have had every reason to keep it hidden. After all, revealing the existence of extraterrestrial life, or advanced structures of unknown origin, would shake the very foundation of modern science, religion, and global stability. Adding to the mystery, former NASA employees have come forward over the years with shocking claims. Otto Binder, a former NASA scientist, once alleged that multiple sources confirmed the Apollo 11 crew was warned off the moon by an unknown presence. Maurice Chatelain, a former NASA communications engineer, stated that all Apollo and Gemini missions were followed by spacecraft of extraterrestrial origin. While NASA has never officially acknowledged these statements, they add weight to the growing belief that something extraordinary was discovered, and covered up. The cancelled Apollo missions, were they really cancelled? NASA originally planned to send Apollo missions up to Apollo 20, but after Apollo 17 in 1972, the remaining missions were abruptly cancelled. Officially, budget cuts and a lack of public interest were cited as the reasons, but some believe the real reason was far more sinister. Could it be that Apollo 18, 19, and 20 was secretly carried out? Conspiracy theorists claim that at least one of these missions went beyond simple exploration. Some say it was a recovery mission. In 2007, a series of controversial videos surfaced, allegedly showing footage from Apollo 20. The videos depict what appears to be a crashed spacecraft on the far side of the moon, as well as what some claim to be a mummified humanoid body. Critics argue that these videos are elaborate hoaxes, but supporters point to inconsistencies in NASA's historical records as evidence that something is being hidden. Then there's the case of L-Cross, a 2009 NASA mission that deliberately crashed, a probe into the moon's surface to analyze underground material. While NASA claimed it was a scientific test to search for water ice, some believe this was a cover-up, an attempt to destroy something beneath the lunar surface before the public could ever find out. The intrigue doesn't stop there. In 2019, China's Chang'e 4 rover became the first to land on the moon's far side. While its primary mission was to conduct scientific research, one discovery stood out: an unusual, gel-like substance found in a crater. While NASA and China's space agency provided scientific explanations, theorists suggest this could be evidence of something non-natural, perhaps even biological in nature. The ultimate question: are we alone? If we step back and consider all the pieces, the eerie sounds heard by Apollo 8, the alleged encounters of Apollo 11, the strange anomalies in lunar photographs, and the unexplained discoveries from modern missions, it all seems to point to one unsettling possibility: we may not be alone in the universe, and our closest celestial neighbor may be hiding more than we ever imagined. Governments around the world have a history of keeping secrets in the name of national security. If the moon's far side harbors evidence of extraterrestrial life, ancient structures, or even ongoing contact, would they ever tell us? Or would they suppress the truth, fearing the societal and political consequences of such a revelation? The dark side of the moon remains an enigma, one that has fascinated and terrified humanity for decades, and as space agencies and private companies push for further exploration, we must ask ourselves, what will they really find? And will we ever get to know the whole truth? Hidden bases, secret missions, and NASA's silence. For decades, whispers of hidden structures on the far side of the moon have circulated among UFO researchers, former military officials, and even ex-NASA personnel. These claims range from massive artificial domes to underground tunnels. Some even suggest that extraterrestrial civilizations may have established a presence there long before humanity ever reached the lunar surface. But if such bases exist, who built them? And why does NASA refuse to acknowledge anything unusual about the moon's far side? One of the most controversial pieces of alleged evidence comes from China's space program. In 2016, a high-ranking official from the Chinese space agency reportedly leaked information suggesting that their Chang'e missions had detected unusual heat signatures beneath the lunar surface, signs of what could be underground structures or even active technology. While this claim remains unverified, it has fueled speculation that the moon may not be as lifeless as we've been led to believe. Then there's the case of the Soviet Union's Luna 9 mission in 1966, which successfully landed on the moon and transmitted the first close-up images of the lunar surface. Shortly after the images were released, some researchers noticed what appeared to be artificial structures in the background. These anomalies were quickly dismissed as camera artifacts or optical illusions. But to this day, some believe that the Soviets had discovered something unexpected and that NASA took notice: the strange case of Project Horizon, a secret military base on the moon. The idea of using the moon as a strategic military outpost is not new. In 1959, a highly classified U.S. Army document titled Project Horizon was declassified, revealing plans to establish a permanent military base on the moon by 1966. The base was intended to house up to 12 soldiers, conduct reconnaissance and potentially launch nuclear missiles from space if necessary. The document also detailed contingency plans in case unknown threats were encountered on the lunar surface. But here's where things get even stranger. According to some whistleblowers, portions of the project may have actually been carried out in secrecy. Could elements of Project Horizon have continued under classified black-budget programs? And, if so, is there already a human presence on the far side of the moon, hidden from public knowledge? Former CIA and NSA insiders have suggested that covert operations involving the moon never ceased after the Apollo missions ended. Theorists point to massive budget discrepancies within the U.S. Department of Defense, specifically the notorious missing trillions of dollars that have gone unaccounted for. Some speculate that a portion of this funding may have been funneled into classified space programs, including lunar operations that the public has never been informed about. The unexplained transient lunar phenomena is something moving on the moon. NASA and independent astronomers have long documented a bizarre phenomenon known as transient lunar phenomena, TLP. These are mysterious flashes of light, strange glowing objects, and unexplained mists that appear on the moon's surface, sometimes lasting just minutes, other times persisting for hours. Some of the earliest records of TLP date back to the 1700s, when astronomers reported bright, moving lights on the moon. In modern times, NASA has attempted to explain these anomalies as outgassing, the release of internal gases from the moon's crust, meteorite impacts, or even static electricity. However, some sightings have defied conventional explanations. One of the most famous incidents occurred in 1965, when astronomers at the Lowell Observatory observed several red glowing spots in the Aristarchus crater, one of the brightest regions on the moon. The lights flickered and moved, suggesting a possible artificial source. NASA acknowledged the event, but provided no definitive explanation. But perhaps the most chilling accounts come from amateur astronomers who have reported seeing unidentified objects leaving the moon's surface and traveling into space. Could these be spacecraft departing from hidden lunar bases? If so, who or what is operating them? Why are so many NASA moon images censored or altered? Another puzzling aspect of NASA's lunar missions is the large number of photographs that appear to have been heavily edited before being released to the public. Over the years, countless images from the Apollo missions, as well as more recent lunar probes, have surfaced with suspiciously blurred or blacked-out areas. One of the most famous cases involves an image taken by Apollo 17, which appears to show a massive structure resembling a tower. The original high-resolution version of the image is difficult to obtain, and some researchers believe it was deliberately altered before being made public. NASA insists that such anomalies are nothing more than camera glitches or lens flares, but former NASA image analysts such as Ken Johnston have claimed otherwise. Johnston, who worked as a data and photo specialist for NASA during the Apollo program, has stated that he saw unedited photos containing structures on the moon before they were altered for public release. Even more intriguing is a document known as NASA Technical Report R277, which details observations of unusual geometric structures on the moon. While the report never explicitly states that these structures are artificial, it acknowledges their unusual nature and the need for further investigation, an investigation that never seemed to happen, at least publicly. A 21st century lunar cover-up. With modern technology and private space companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin planning manned missions to the moon, one would expect a clearer picture of the lunar surface. Yet, even today, high-resolution images of the far side remain limited. Why, in 2019, China's Chang'e 4 rover made headlines for becoming the first spacecraft to land on the moon's far side. But many of the images and findings from the mission have been curiously vague, leading some to believe that certain discoveries were withheld. Some theorists argue that there's a global agreement among space agencies, including NASA, Russia's Roscosmos, and China's CNSA, to keep certain information classified. If this is true, it raises a massive question. What could be so shocking, so world-changing, that even rival nations would agree to keep it hidden? If the moon's far side contains evidence of ancient extraterrestrial contact, secret bases, or advanced technology, revealing the truth could shake the very foundations of human civilization. Governments could fear mass panic, religious upheaval, or even loss of control over the narrative of human history. The question isn't just whether NASA is hiding something, but why? What possible reason could justify decades of secrecy and misinformation? And with NASA planning the Artemis missions to return humans to the moon in the coming years, will we finally uncover the truth, or will the cover-up continue? What are they hiding? The deeper we dive into the mysteries of the moon's far side, the more questions arise. From ancient anomalies and unexplained lights to classified military projects and censored NASA images, it seems clear that something is being hidden. But the real question is, why? Some believe the answer lies in extraterrestrial involvement, that an intelligent civilization may have once inhabited or still inhabits the moon. If true, this revelation would shake the very foundation of human history. It would mean that we are not alone, and never have been. Could this be the reason why NASA mysteriously ended the Apollo program, despite having the technology and funding to continue? Were astronauts warned to stay away? Others argue that the cover-up is more human than alien. The moon, as it turns out, is the ultimate strategic location. A natural satellite that could serve as a military outpost, a surveillance station, or even a launching point for future space colonization. If powerful nations have already established secret bases there, they would have every reason to keep it hidden from the public and competing governments. The truth may not be about aliens at all, but about control. The Apollo 11 alien encounter, fact or fiction? One of the most persistent claims about hidden lunar secrets comes from the Apollo 11 mission itself. According to unverified reports, astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin encountered something unexpected on the moon. During their time on the surface, they allegedly saw massive structures or even spacecraft observing them from a distance. A widely circulated story suggests that Armstrong contacted Mission Control using an emergency channel and reported, "They're here. They are watching us." NASA has never confirmed this exchange, but former employees, including Otto Binder, a space researcher, claim to have intercepted the transmission before it was cut from public broadcast. Some even say that the sudden cancellation of Apollo 18, 19, and 20 was due to direct warnings from an unknown intelligence, an intelligence that wanted humans to stay away. The lost tapes and the mysterious destruction of Apollo records. If NASA has nothing to hide, then why are crucial pieces of Apollo-era evidence missing? In 2006, NASA admitted that the original Apollo 11 moon landing tapes were accidentally erased, a claim that left many baffled. These were not just any tapes, they contained the highest quality footage of humanity's first steps on the moon. Officially, NASA explained that the tapes were reused due to a shortage of magnetic tape at the time, but how could one of the most significant moments in human history simply be lost? Additionally, blueprints for the Saturn V rocket, the most powerful rocket ever built, were also mysteriously destroyed or lost over the years. Why? Why would NASA allow such invaluable data to disappear? Could it be that the records contained information they didn't want the public to see? What the future holds? Will we ever learn the truth? With NASA's Artemis program planning to send humans back to the moon in the coming years, many are hopeful that the truth will finally come out. But there are reasons to remain skeptical. If there really are classified lunar operations, secret bases, or even non-human presences on the far side of the moon, then it's unlikely that space agencies will suddenly reveal these secrets. Instead, we might see controlled disclosures, small bits of truth carefully released over time to condition the public for bigger revelations in the future. Meanwhile, private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are rapidly advancing their own moon missions. Unlike government space agencies, these corporations are not bound by the same level of secrecy. If Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos were to make a shocking discovery on the moon, would they reveal it to the world? Or would they too be pressured into silence? Final thoughts. What if everything we've been told is a lie? For decades, we've been taught that the moon is just a cold, lifeless rock orbiting our planet. But time and again, evidence suggests that there is more to the story. From inexplicable artifacts and unnatural formations to high-ranking officials hinting at hidden truths, it's clear that something is being kept from us. So now, we turn the question to you. What do you think is really on the far side of the moon? Is it a secret human base, an ancient alien outpost, or something even stranger? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep space mysteries. Who knows? The truth might be closer than we think.